Hello! So, welcome to another reading vlog. I'm kind of annoyed this week because it's Tuesday and I feel like the last 2 days I've been really productive and getting through all the things I want to do in terms of work-related stuff and booktube stuff, but still, somehow I don't seem to be finding more time to read. Like yesterday I was like, wow, I'm so ahead today, I'll definitely have time to read in the evening, and then only had like a tiny bit of time before I went to bed, and now it's nearly 8:30 already and I still haven't read any of my book. And at the beginning of the week, I like marked off little tabs of how much I would need to read each day in order to get through it by the end of the week like I would like to. And I'm nowhere near the first tab, and this is the second day. So I'm not sure how this is going to work out, but I'm trying to read this book. It's the third book in this big epic fantasy where there's people fighting over the throne, but there's also dark magic, maths-based magic, these dragon people that are kind of stone-based. I am really enjoying it, but it is just a bit slow to get through, so I'm struggling. As well as that though, I am listening to the audiobook of King of Crows by Bray, and I'm 55% through that, so that's a 20-something hour audiobook, so I think I'm doing pretty well. I've been listening to it while I've been doing other things, so that's the good thing about audiobooks. Although I'm not 100% enjoying it, although that's also the good thing about audiobooks, is that when you're not enjoying a book, you can just leave it running and you'll still get through it. So The King of Crows is the fourth book in the Diviners series. It's set in the 1920s and the Diviners all have these different paranormal abilities, and in this one they're trying to take down the King of Crows, who has like this army of ghosts and is causing all sorts of problems. I honestly don't really know if I'm enjoying it anymore. I'm a little bit frustrated because most of the characters that I like the dynamics of have been split up into different weird groupings, and it's somewhat interesting seeing them interacting with characters that they wouldn't normally interact with, but it also just kind of seems a bit pointless, like it's just going on, and like, why aren't we just getting to the bit where we take on the King of Crows instead of mucking around with the circus? Anyway, I should be able to finish that this week and then maybe start another audiobook. We'll see how we go. As well, I'm reading this book, which I haven't been talking about the work-related books that I've been reading on and off over the last few months, because it's kind of like work study and most of them aren't very interesting to you, but this one is weird because it kind of sits on the line between non-fiction and fiction. So it's a book about the theory of constraints, and it is told as a fictional story about this manager of this manufacturing plant, and he's been told they're going to have to close down in 3 months if they don't sort out their productivity problems. So he's just trying to deal with that. But at the same time, he's also having some marriage problems because he's spending so much time trying to sort out his work problems. And I read the foreword, the author said, you know, he put that in because he thought it was quite realistic for people in this kind of work situation to also have problems at home. And I have to be honest, I actually teared up at one of the parts to do with that. So it's actually kind of well written, which you wouldn't expect. I mean, I'm also interested in the management topic that it's getting into, so I'm not sure how this would read for someone who wasn't interested in that. But I'm certainly reading this a lot faster than any other workbooks that I've read lately. So if you have any interest in process improvement and the theory of constraints, then maybe you should read this book. I think this book's pretty well known, so if you have an interest in those things, you've probably heard of this before. But I'm reading that. As well, this week and next week is the Join the Six readathon, which is a Daisy Jones and the Six inspired readathon. I'm doing it, but I'm doing it in a very unplanned way. The idea is that for each different position in the band, there are 3 prompts, and you can decide which position you want to audition for, and then do those prompts. Instead, because I'm not organized, or I don't know, I just haven't gotten around to making any kind of plan for that, and I already have a lot of books to read, so I don't want to be adding more. Instead, I'm going to run this readathon more like a personality test. So I'm just going to read the books I read, and then we'll see which prompts we can match them up against, and then at the end we'll see which position in the band I've matched the most against. Anyway, I should probably stop starting this vlog. Did that sentence make sense? Anyway, I'm gonna go and try to actually make some progress on this. Do I look tired? I feel tired. And it's 9 o'clock. It's late. I'm really pink in the face. I don't know why. But also, I only just got up to the first tab and it's the end of the 3rd day. So I think I'm a bit behind. Oh, also, this last tabbed section ended with the line, "It took her 6 days to die." So not happy about that. There is like a curse that's chasing after one of the characters, and some of the animals are trying to protect him, but it's not going so well and it's making me sad. Also, I'm just sad that this is taking me so long to get through. I think also I'm about 75% through the Diviners, so it's not called the Diviners. I'm 75%, 71% through King of Crows, and I just like, I don't know, it's fine. I just wish they would get on with it. Although all our characters did just get back together, so I think we're about to really face off with the King of Crows. I mean, I've still got 6 hours to go, so maybe that's just like they'll face off and then it'll be all the wrapping up all the loose threads. Anyway, I think I can probably finish that off tomorrow. I will say part of why I didn't get much done today was that I had some job search stuff this morning. Really not that much, like a bit of reading and like 20 minutes of phone calls. But just like waiting for phone calls is very mentally distracting. So it stopped me from getting some other things done. But hopefully tomorrow will be less mentally distracting. Hello! So once again, it is late in the evening and I haven't read any of this yet today. Also, this vlog is apparently a makeup-free vlog and I haven't edited it all yet, so I don't know whether I'm going to regret that. But what I did do today is I did manage to finish off listening to the Diviners. And like, it was fine. I just am not very emotionally attached to that story at all. But I do think like all the plot threads were wrapped up and like some of the characters didn't survive, which I think is much more realistic when you've got this like big epic build up to this confrontation with the big bad guy over multiple books. If everyone survives, then it's just like, was this really ever dangerous? Was there any point to any of this? So I appreciated that people died. I do think there was a bit of mucking around at the circus and working on the farm, and it kind of fit into the storyline, but it dragged on a bit in some bits. And as well, like, I liked it more once we got all the characters together rather than all the weird combinations of people that have been put together. Anyway, it was fine, and now I have finished that series, which is good. I thought what we would do, I didn't bring it up though. Where is it? Where did I put that? I have too many spreadsheets. Here it is. So I thought we would check how we're going with my Join the Six personality test now that I have completed the Diviners. Let's see what prompts I can match it against. So it's not own voices. Nope, nope, nope. Oh dear. Multiple perspectives? Yes, it's not first person, but it's multiple perspective. Okay, that's one of the fans' prompts. Involving music or fandom. Was there music? They are for a certain amount with this music group. One of the characters has a relationship with a musician. I think we could say it's involving music. There's some singing. Actually, I will say the audiobook's pretty good. The narrator does all sorts of different voices and there's often singing, and she sings and she can sing, which is lucky. So also involving music. And also, would I say it's a hyped book? The whole series is hyped, right? But I did hear some people say they didn't think the last book was as good, which I don't know. It was fine. 3 stars. Better than the first 2 books, which were a waste of time. I guess I won't put it as a hyped book. But we're already ticked 2 for the fans. So at the moment, it's looking like I'm a fan. I don't really want to be a fan is what I'm feeling. I want to be in the band. It's alright, I've got way more books to read. Since I finished that audiobook, I did start listening to the audiobook of Riot Baby by, what's his name? Tochi Onyebuchi. So the author is narrating the audiobook, which is cool, but also it's only like a 4-hour audiobook, so I'm sure I'll be finished that pretty soon, especially because I have some driving over the next couple of days. So yeah, I think I'll finish that one quickly and then I can tick off some more. I'm probably not going to finish this off quickly, but I am going to go and read some more now. I did manage to get through some more of this today. I have to say, one thing that annoys me about this is that like they're making these improvements and trying to prove that their non-traditional way of thinking things is the right way of thinking of things, and it kind of frustrates me that every improvement they try actually works, because in real life what tends to happen, even when you have some kind of wizard character coming in and giving them guidance, even with that, you tend to try things and they don't work out because business life is often complex and there are things you didn't realize. And I wish there had just been one example in here where they tried something and it didn't work. But still, it has some interesting concepts in it, and I am enjoying the story, although I'm now up to the end of chapter 33, and there's 40 chapters, and like, I'm not sure how many concepts there really are to cover, and we've already had the yay promotion ending, yay our marriage is solved, so not sure what the rest of the book is going to be about, but we will see. Okay, confession time. Last night I didn't read any of this because I got distracted by Animal Crossing's new dream functionality. I was just dreaming and having a good time, not reading. And now I'm going to head off to Jason's place. I'm not sure what we're going to do because the weather's bad. So I might do some reading, probably not. I don't normally read when I'm there, but I'll take a book anyway. But I'm not going to take this because I just got an email from the library reminding me that this is due back on Monday and there's a hold queue, so I can't renew it. So I need to start that this weekend, which is fine because I am really excited to read this, and maybe I just need a break from the Burning Stone and then I can get back to it at a faster pace. If you've seen my August TBR, then you know I've got a lot of books to read in August, so I'm not sure how carrying the Burning Stone over is going to help with that, but I guess making some progress with this will help, so maybe it'll balance out. Okay, so I am home from Jason's house, and unsurprisingly, I didn't read any of this. I did play some Animal Crossing, did have some nice times, but now I'm home. I did also read like 3/4 of Riot Baby, and I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I feel like I'm a little bit confused. It keeps jumping back and forth in the timeline, and as well, I think all of this family has some degree of premonitions. Sort of, it's not only jumping back and forth in the timelines, but some of what it's jumping back and forth in is just premonitions. And then I'm like, was that even real, or was that just a premonition? Maybe I'm not smart enough for this book. But I do think it's really cool. There's this girl, Ella, and not only does she have these premonitions like the rest of her family has, but she also has like other psychic abilities, including these kind of telekinetic powers where she can like move things and destroy things at a distance. But another thing that I am confused about is her brother's in jail, but I don't really understand why he's in jail. And like, I'm pretty sure he's the narrator, but I find the tone of the narration and the way that he's narrating really at odds with some of his behavior. So even when it talks about his thought processes, I never really can line it up with his behavior. And I'm not sure if that's a problem with the book or if that's a statement the book is trying to make about how your environment influences how you behave, and how this brother has ended up in jail, but not because of anything he's necessarily done wrong or there being anything wrong with him, but because of this racism against black people and just the environment that they're put in that kind of forces them into behavior that then gets them in trouble. I'm not really sure. And I think because this has turned out to be quite a short book, the audiobook is only 4 hours, so I think with shorter stories it really comes down to whether everything gets pulled together in the end and how the ending goes, as to whether all the rest of it really makes sense. So I will have to finish that tomorrow. Right now I'm gonna go and wash my hair, and what else do I need to do tonight? Probably I'm gonna try and just do relaxed things because it's Saturday night. Play some Animal Crossing, and I'll try and read a decent amount of this because I have to get it read so I can return it to the library. And I mean, the text isn't too small, but it is a fairly lengthy book, 430 something pages. I better get going. Okay, so I'm having quite a slow start to today because I kind of woke up feeling like crap, but I'm getting there. Last night I did read the prologue and the first chapter of this. I will say the prologue is essentially just the prequel short story that I already read. Maybe a couple of changes, but mostly it's the same as that. So I reread that, but it made me wonder, why did I even read that prequel? So if you're thinking about reading the prequel before you read that, don't worry about it. Then this first chapter came after that. So in the... Am I even alive right now? In the prologue, we have basically the city of New York giving birth, but to itself, it's a strange concept. But then we basically are starting to learn about different people who are representing different aspects of the city, and some of them, or at least this one, Manny, or Manhattan, can see things that maybe aren't really there. Maybe they are, and it's kind of the world falling apart, or the city falling apart. Anyway, I am really enjoying it, but I'm gonna need to hurry up with this today since it is due back to the library tomorrow. I will be able to use some time tomorrow to read it because I don't have to return it till the end of the day. But I really would like to get it done today. But I also have a few other things to do today, and it's already halfway through the day and I haven't done anything. Oh, that's not entirely true though. I played some Animal Crossing and I did finish Riot Baby. Now what I think with Riot Baby is, I think it lost me somewhere along the way. I really wish that it had been a longer book so that it could have delved into some bits a little bit more and like explained some things a bit better, because it just seems sometimes there were quite big jumps and I didn't really understand how we'd gotten where we were. And I feel like there's a really good story in there, but we didn't quite get it. I think actually what this really falls into is one of those books where the girl, the sister, has a really interesting story, but mostly we don't get her story. Mostly we're following her brother Kevin as he's in jail, and it's mostly a story about his experience of being in jail. Except then right at the end we got these weird science fiction elements, and I had seen some people having a discussion about people having called this book a dystopian and other people saying no, this is just the real life experience of black people, especially black people who end up going to prison for crimes they didn't really commit. So you shouldn't really call it a dystopian. But at the same time, we all know we're living in a dystopian right now, right? So just because something is real life doesn't mean it's not a dystopian. Although I do understand the argument, like you shouldn't just write off what's happening now as, oh well, that's a dystopian, making out like it's a fiction. Where was I going with this? But yeah, then in the end it did have these science fiction elements which were quite dystopian, although again not that different from real life, because real life is a dystopian anyway. It had some interesting ideas in it, and I did enjoy it. I just think I wanted more from it. Anyway, I'm gonna go and try and read some more of this, have some lunch, maybe try and film a video, and maybe figure out what I'm doing with my life. Good morning. I am trying not to straighten my hair and just leave it natural, and I am not sure how long that will last, but I guess we'll see. Also, still no makeup this whole vlog. What am I thinking? But last night I read some of this. Unfortunately, not as much as I hoped. So I got up to the start of chapter 7. I am enjoying it. It's super strange. So it's even kind of hard to describe. It's like this city has been born, and all these different people who are like avatars for the city, and they have like these extra senses, and they kind of see like these weird tentacly things everywhere, and there's this weird evil that keeps taking over the bodies of different people and talking to them. And I actually really like the evil's character because it just says such honest things all the time, and like it's not very nice, but sometimes, even though I like to be a nice person, sometimes it's just nice to imagine saying the worst things you could possibly say. And it's almost funny. I guess it's not the worst things you could say because the worst things you could say are not funny, but I really like the evil in this. What's wrong with me? Anyway, I am enjoying this. I will say, the chapters are quite long, and as well, we've been jumping around the different characters, so we keep coming back to Manny, who is Manhattan, but then we jump off to the Bronx, and Iselin, I think she's called. And did we get a chapter of someone else? I can't remember, but anyway. I'm enjoying it. Today, what I think I'm going to do is do the thing where I read a chapter and then I do something else productive, so that hopefully by the end of the day I can have finished this. I do also need to finish this because this is due back today as well, so I should be doing plenty of other things, but I'm going to finish reading these today. And what else? Oh, yesterday I did start reading Scythe by Neil Shusterman. Now this is a really popular dystopian where people no longer die, and so because of that, to keep population under control, they've got these people called the Scythes who pick people to die. And I was really interested in this because I do like the idea of living forever, but I think maybe because I'm interested in that idea, I have thought through some of the ramifications, and this world is kind of frustrating me because it doesn't make sense. They keep saying, like, we've learnt everything there is to possibly know. Like, one of these kids just like regularly jumps off buildings because then, even though it takes a few days, he knows he'll be healed. And like, what else are you gonna do otherwise, he says, you know, there's nothing else to learn. But they're still having to kill people because of overpopulation. So clearly there's still problems, there's still more to learn. And they talk about some kind of failure with trying to live on the moon and Mars, and how we've only got this one planet, so we just have to make do with this one planet. But if we ever accept the idea that we make do with this one planet, we give up on humanity lasting forever, because this planet will not last forever, regardless of, you know, the improvements we make to the environment to stop it from becoming an uninhabitable place for us. Like, eventually our sun will die, and so if we've just said, oh well, we can never leave this planet, then that's the end. Sure, it's millions of years away, but if you're gonna start living forever, then millions of years away becomes a possibility for you as an individual. So I don't think you would just be like, oh well, never mind, that's just the way it is. And I mean, message from the dinosaurs, this planet can become uninhabitable at any time. So really, it's just ridiculous to me that they're making out like somehow this is the peak of humanity, when clearly it's not. And it also doesn't make any sense to me. So the Scythes can essentially choose how they want these people to die. Like, one person got drowned, another person, you know, some of them got weapons, they've got some pills that kill people quickly. But like, even if we decided that some people have to die, there would be like a painless way that was the way. Anyway, I'm ranting about this book for far too long, but I guess the thing is that the main part of the book is this world, and maybe this, I get the feeling there's also going to be a romance, which I don't care about, so it's frustrating me and it's stopping me from enjoying it. But anyway, I'm probably not going to listen to Scythe till later. Right now, I need to focus on these two. Oh my goodness, this book has mathematical equations in it. I love it. Good morning. It is the next day now, and it's early. It's quite cold, but I remembered my mum made me this woolen hat, and that's making it less cold. So yesterday I did finish both of these, but a lot later than I had planned, like basically after bedtime. I got distracted with all sorts of like life admin and trying to sort out my financial situation, which is not that great at the moment. But regardless, let's talk about these two books. So this one I finished first. I really liked it. I think the ideas in this are amazing. The story is really unique. What I will say though is like it's more of a concept book rather than a character book. Like, I never felt very emotional over this book, but I did feel excited about all the ideas in it. So if you're someone who really likes books for their emotional impact, I don't think this is it. But if you want like some really crazy out there ideas, then this is amazing. And I'm pretty sure, no one's really talked about it, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be the first book in a series, because there are things at the end of this that are not wrapped up. at all. The other thing that I will say is that all the characters are like representations of their different boroughs within New York. So I definitely think that people who know New York will get a lot more of this, or it will have more of an impact on them. I don't really know New York, so some of it I think maybe I didn't get because of that. But also all of these characters are then based on stereotypes of people in those areas, and so I mean stereotypes always have the potential to be harmful, and I just don't know how I feel about that. Like, I would be really interested to hear someone from Staten Island read this book and see what they think, because I don't think that it paints them in a very positive light, and I'm sure that everybody on that island is not a dick. So yeah, I just don't know if that particular aspect of the story is very helpful. But anyway, I did really love the ideas, and I do think if you liked Middle Game by Sean M. Maguire, then you would probably like this, because the magic or the science behind it is very conceptual in a similar way. Then I finished this, and I have to say the last few chapters were not as great, because the characters were trying to think through something, but they were very confused, and so I felt like it was just confusing me, especially because they were trying to look back on some of the ideas that they'd thought about previously and think, oh, well, maybe those ideas were wrong. And I'm like, have you just made me read this whole book only to tell me that the ideas you've taught me were wrong? But that's not what it is. But it's just, I felt like the last chapters were getting into a different topic almost. But I still can definitely see why this book is like a classic in terms of business and process improvement, and I'm glad that I've read it. So, oh, what we need to do is check on my Join the Six personality test readathon. So I've already gone through and filled out my spreadsheet, but I will tell you. For Riot Baby, I have ticked that it's a standalone and it is hard hitting, which gives me 1 guitar, 1 drums. Then for The City We Became, I thought bold colors for sure with that cover, multiple perspectives, and it is a very hyped book. And then for the goal, I also gave myself hyped book, and then it's written in first person. Some of The City We Became is written in first person too, like the prologue and the epilogue, but I didn't count it. So that means I've got 1 for vocals, 1 for guitar, 2 for drums, and like 3 for fans. So I think fans and drums are the ones I want the least. So we'll have to read some more books next week. But of course, I will be reading this week, not like next week, this week. It's already this week. Anyway, I will definitely be reading more books in my next vlog. I'll definitely be finishing Scythe. I'm still struggling. Everything they talk about, I'm like, well, that's proof that you haven't learned everything yet. Anyway, I am gonna finish off this vlog now, because normally I would put my vlog up at this time, but since it's not finished, I guess all my videos are going up a day late this week. Oh, this week, last week. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me this week and last week, whatever. I hope that everything's going well for you and that you're reading lots of good books, and I will see you next time.